Welcome, everyone. So today's session is session one of manifestation, the topic manifestation, which is the second module of OMG. So what I like to do is not give you a different perspective of manifestation. I mean, we speak about manifestation like all the time in so many different ways. So over the years, us as a group have spoken about manifestation. I can't remember how many sessions because it's something that continuously comes up. But it's also something that I've always been cautious in talking about, especially at the early days when someone is first coming across this information, because as you would be aware, when you would have revisited OMG over the last couple of weeks, we've started, what's the date today? Today is the 15th, so we're halfway through the month. And so you would have been listening to the calls, listening to the recordings of OMG. We're re-listening to it because we're re-listening to it. And you would be, that will record. You'd become aware that one of the questions that I ask, which is what we'll probably start with, is what's the difference between the ego manifesting versus the one manifesting? I think that clarifies a lot. Okay, so I know you guys know the answer, but I'd like to revisit it before we move on. I would normally ask you guys, well, what's the difference between the ego manifesting and the one manifesting? I know you know the answer, so you don't need to unmute and tell me. Okay, and you would have all re-listened to OMG, and you would have heard that when it's the ego manifests out of need, where it's the one that manifests, it manifests out of love. Okay, it's quite simple. And what I've got to share with you, as much as it is deep, it is going to be super simple. In fact, I've already considered sharing what I'm sharing with you in this group with new people. All right. Now, I know Jamie would be going, no, you can't. It doesn't land for them. But this is so simple that it will land for anybody. Okay. And I've simplified it even further to the way I've even delivered it and shared it with you guys in the past. So get ready. Here we go. I don't know if I'm going to share all of it with you now. We've got 2 sessions that we're covering on manifestation, but hopefully I can share all of it, and then in the next session we can do more discussions. So let's just start with that idea that the ego manifests out of need. Okay. Another way to deliver that and share that with you, to get even more clear, because we say, well, the one manifests out of love, but what's that? I know you guys know what love is because you've done the work, right? We know we're talking about not the human-made love, we're talking about the infinite love. Okay, right? But one of the things about love, right? Another word that we can associate with love is that remember when we talk about love, you already feel full. You feel full so much that you want to do something purely because you love to. Remember, I don't need to go into the WTF content here, do I? You get what we're talking about. In the WTF, we're talking about there's a difference between the love when someone is looking to be in a relationship so they can find the other partner, so they can feel whole and complete in the relationship, versus when someone is feeling whole and complete within themselves. And then, of course, they no longer need to be in the relationship, but that's when they're free to be in the relationship because they love to, not because they need to. So I don't need to talk to you guys about that, although I just did. All right. But just to recap. So when you are experiencing that love, okay, whenever you want to express it, you're not looking for something in return. In fact, you actually are expressing it because you have so much of it. And the more you express it, it feels like there is more to give. Okay? Which this sounds obviously plausible. It sounds relatable because every time you've loved someone, there was more to love. It doesn't run out. Okay? So the thing about the one manifesting is it's about giving. All right? Now, again, the ego likes what I'm saying here. And this is where I get cautious about sharing this stuff with someone who is early on their journey. All right? But I'm going to share it in a way that it can be digestible. The ego likes what I'm sharing, right? I won't go into ego right now, but I'll come back to ego in a sec. So the one, when it's manifesting, it's doing it with the process or the intention of giving, right? But not because it's good. All right. So we don't need to go into that right now. You're not giving because it's good. You're not giving because it even feels good. You're giving because you feel to, right? So the ego, we said, it tries to manifest out of need. So therefore, it's looking to take, right? Or even, I can even use the word receive here. Okay, the ego's manifestation is to receive something versus the one's manifestation, it is to give or it is to share something of itself. So I'm just adding those two words because it'll help you make it feel more complete in what you've already heard in the OMG module. In the OMG module, it says the ego wants to manifest out of need, and the one wants to manifest out of love. Well, if you take that even further, love wants to give. It wants to share. It wants to give of itself. You hear me talk about that all the time. Versus the ego, it's manifesting out of need, all right? The need is to receive its form. It's to receive its attachment, whatever it's attached to. It is to receive and continue to build its identity. Okay? So again, just clarify even more. One is to give, one is to take or receive. Okay? Now, you might ask yourself, well, hang on a sec, what about me receiving? Said the ego. Isn't love about receiving? Yes, it is. But you receive, and you heard me say this in the WTF, you receive what you give. You receive it in yourself, in the action or in the expression or in the moment of giving it. You receive it within yourself for yourself. You've heard me say that. Okay? The receiving is in you. So therefore, you're not looking to go, hang on, where's my receiving? Where's my receiving? I'm being good. So just in case your ego went, well, hang on, what about my receiving? You know, I'm here to give, but what about me receiving back? Okay. Again, it doesn't mean in your life, in your experience, in your physical reality, in duality, you don't create experiences of receiving. But when you do receive, you don't need it. So therefore, you receive the full appreciation of whatever that is being expressed towards you. Okay? Because you don't need it, you feel, and again, your ego goes, well, if I don't need it, it wouldn't feel nice. See, that's what the ego says. If I want to get what I need, because if I don't need it, then it doesn't feel nice. No. If you truly don't need it, then you're free to experience the, when they say it's the thought that counts, right? You get to experience not what's in the gift, but the energy of what's behind the gift. In other words, it's not in what's in the words, it's the energy or the space where the words are forming from. You live completely differently. Does that make sense? I know it does. So let's continue. So just to help support you guys further on your journey, actually, before I get into that, what you need to realize, okay, what's very important here is that now that we've distinguished the difference, right? And there is, for some of you, there requires practice and pondering and experiencing of what is the difference. Because at this stage, some of you, what I'm sharing with you, you're like, yep, got it. Some of you need to actually go and process that and go, oh my God, my ego's been trying to manifest this whole time. Okay, so and remember, it doesn't work for the ego. Okay, imagine if it did. The ego has no power. It's only got power in here, and only one person gives it that power. No one else can. So here's the thing. When you want to manifest something, and again, I use those words, and as I'm using those words, I'm cringing, because it's like when you want to manifest something, it's like, well, who? Okay, who wants to manifest something? Let me clarify that. Okay, when there is something to be manifested, right? Something to change its form from the formless energy into form, you feel it deep within yourself as a feeling that moves you, as a feeling that inspires you, as a feeling that requires no thoughts. Okay? Sometimes it's not an inspiration. It's just, this has got to be done for this person. This has got to be done for the world. This has got to be done for my child. This has got to be done because it's got to be done. Like, it's just a feeling, but there's no thought around that, right? This is why when the feeling arises, you feel like it's done. You're like, it's just done, right? Because there's no thought around that. It's when you grab that feeling and then you think to yourself, how am I meant to make that happen? That you create thought, that creates doubt, that creates you're no longer in the manifestation zone, but you are in the manipulation zone. So you want to manipulate the story, manipulate how you can make this happen, manipulate others, manipulate yourself in order to allow this feeling to manifest. No, you're either manipulating or you're manifesting. It's one or the other. Okay, so the manifestation happens when you become one with the feeling, right? And the manifestation will continue to form into its form when you can stay one with the feeling. This is it. This is as simple as it gets. Okay, you feel what you love. You then draw on what you love, right? And the drawing is in later modules, which we talk about, which is willing. But for me, drawing is like, here's my cup. If I put a straw into this cup and I suck on the, it's the same. I go get my straw and go, and it comes up. But that's what it feels like. Except you as yourself is the straw, okay? The straw and the feeling in one, all right? Again, that's willing. We'll talk about that in later modules, but all you're doing is you're becoming one with the feeling. You feel the feeling. There's nothing for you to do except give that feeling. You're then, what most people do is look at what I have to do in order to take or receive what this feeling's got to give. It's already here. Don't look at what it's got to. All you're doing is drawing on the feeling to give it or to express it. So now I am expressing it in words, which it's a form. Okay. In other times, you are to give it. It's a giving process. It's not a taking process. This is where people lose themselves. They look at, what do I need to do? And you go into the doing mode because you're going into, I want to receive this. I want to manifest this. What do you mean you want to manifest it? You just felt it. It's already done. Nobody said to go. Look, all you have to do is stay with the feeling. And when I say stay with the feeling, it's not like you have to stay with it the entire time. You stay with it. You stay with it by not going and thinking about what you need to do. So I have a feeling, and then I go and be with my child. I have a feeling, and I go back to the feeling. But then I go and live my life. But then I go back to the feeling. I never go into what do I need to do to now manifest this feeling. It will then move me. I stay with it the entire time as it continues to come out. Okay? You know your attention is no longer with the feeling because you go to the story, right? And you go into time and go, well, it should have been done by now. Or so-and-so is doing it. How come it's not working for me? Or you look at your circumstances and go, but how is that possible? Fuck's sakes. You were with the feeling and all you felt is the possibility. Of course, it's not possible for you. You stay with the feeling. It is a oneness process. What is so difficult about that? You are staying one with the feeling. You go and continue to live your life. You come back and you stay one with the feeling. And as the feeling arises, it's like a cake rising. As it rises, you will feel to do something. But then do what you're doing because you feel to. Don't then go into the doing, right? Remember I say when you're doing something, it's not what you do that is amazing. It's who you're being when you do it. People say, oh, Amir, you must love speaking. You must love flying. It's not the flying. It's who I'm being when I fly. It's not the speaking. It's who I'm being right now. Don't get lost into the doing. Okay? So as the feeling arises and continues to express itself, stay with the feeling. As it begins to form itself, that's when most people lose itself. They're like, oh my God, the diamond. The attention goes into the form and disconnects from the, no, stay with the form. You see the form, you see your idea, you'll see your creativity, you see your painting. As it begins to form, stay with the formless until it is complete. And there you have it. It is form. But now it's finished. Remember, you can't manifest the form. It's now form. What you're manifesting is the formless. Okay? I talk about this in OMG. Okay? People look at the form, in other words, the story and the reality, and they try to change that. It's already formed. It's like trying to change the iceberg, right? And again, I don't need to go into that, but the only part of you that is requiring to do that is the part of you that needs to change your manifestation because it's uncomfortable with the processes it is allowing you to have, which is back to reclaiming power, which is why reclaiming power is so important. Because, you don't want to be having a process and then you go, well, I don't want to feel this process. I don't like how I feel, which is actually not how you feel. You just label it that way. But anyway, it's just energy moving. I don't like this. And what's causing me to feel this is this story. So then you go and try to change the story. And again, that's the ego trying to manifest. And that doesn't work. Why doesn't that work? Well, all you do, because you come from need, right? Whatever you manifest, however it changes its form, your experience of that will be to receive needing it. So the need never changes. So all the ego can manifest is need. So you go and change your life, you go and change how much money you make, then you're experiencing the need of the money. You can't even spend it. Like, even if you spend it, you're feeling, oh my God, like you just experience the need of it. Okay. I know you guys get this, right? Because you've done this for a while. Maybe this is a reminder, right? Or maybe not. Maybe this is something that's taking you deeper, right? Love is to give when it is, and again, not because it's good, not because it's loving, because when you feel the feeling, it's already full. You're full, so you're not looking to receive, you're receiving within the fullness. So you're not looking to receive. So it's just there to give. It's just there to express. Let me give you one example and then we'll move on to what I want to talk to you about. I needed to clarify this first. When I did the OMG group, I've just recently started an OMG group with new people who had just started OMG. I spoke to them about one thing. I spoke to them about why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I said to them, I never forget the day when I was sitting around a group of people, and it was a mentor group, right? Before I even started this journey, right? Well, before I even started practicing this journey, I really started this journey when I was 12, but before I actually started practicing. And everybody had to get up in front of this mentor group of young people, and had to say why they're here, right? And everyone started talking about, oh, I want to do whatever I want to do whenever I want to do kind of stuff. I want to have the Ferrari. I want to have the big house. Everyone said that. But when it was my turn to speak, and again, you guys have heard this, but it's a reminder. I got this overwhelming feeling. And in that moment, I really remembered what it was for me. And I said, I have this feeling inside, and I didn't even know what the feeling was. And I need to get it out. And I started crying. And everyone's like, what the fuck? What's up? There's a guy. And I started crying. And I'm like, if I can just get this feeling out, that's manifestation. Now, back then, I didn't know what that feeling was. That feeling is what I'm speaking to you about today. Okay? It is to become number one, becoming one with it. In other words, all you're doing is giving it space. You're allowing it to be. You're not trying to make it into something. And then as it draws out of you, just like you will it. You're like, yes, I acknowledge that there's a feeling, and I acknowledge that I feel it's a possibility, and you're just saying yes to it. Remember, this is in manifestation where I say you're saying yes to the decision that is already made. The decision's already made. You can feel the yesness of it. All right? All you're saying is yes to it, and you're willing it, sucking it out of a straw, the water, and as it forms, right, without getting distracted with any noise of the outside. How's it going to happen? What if people, you know that stuff. You stay one with the feeling, and this is what you guys need to be reminded of. You stay one with the feeling all the way as it forms until it's completely formed. People lose, you'll get practice of this. You know, I got to a point where it was forming and I'm like, oh my God, this thing's done. And I'll lose it. Because I go, and you go, what thing? Like what? You think there's something outside of you? Like you're staying with the feeling. It's a oneness process. You're staying with the feeling. You're staying one with the action. If you feel moved to do something, don't focus on like what you're, I mean, again, if you're with the feeling, you won't focus on anything but who you're being when you're like, that's what it's called, being in the zone or being in the flow anyway. So you know that, okay? You don't do any thinking in the doing because it's about who you're being in the doing. like it happens naturally. I don't need to tell you that, although I'm explaining to you the process just to help you remember. But that's what happens. And then what happens is things become effortless and things become to form easily. And that's where people lose themselves again. Their attention goes on the things. Ooh. Hang on, buddy. Stay with the feeling. That's manifestation. It's as simple as that. But I wanted to expand on some of the things that we've spoken about manifestation. So I'm just giving you the feeling of it there, just talking to you. Again, this is more remembering for you guys, yeah? But here's the thing. I want to give you some more content. I want to give you some more teachings. Everything that we just spoke about was distinguishing the difference between when it's ego wanting to manifest versus when there is something to be manifested, and what you do to stay with it. It's all you're doing. You're just staying with it. Like you being the one doesn't need to get distracted by the shiny things. What is that movie? The Revolver, and he goes, "Shine on, you crazy diamond," or something. I can't remember, but it was a good quote. Shine on, diamond. Like next month, we're going to be talking about ego. So again, a lot of this will really hit home. Okay, so here's the thing. What I've been just describing to you is known as manifestation. But in the idea or the umbrella of manifestations, there's 3 levels. Okay, so what I've just described to you and what I continue to share with people, right, is at that point. Okay, it is drawing from itself. It's like the iceberg, right, has a straw in the middle of it, and it draws from itself, which is the ocean that it's floating on, and it brings up more water for it to expand or change the shape of the iceberg. But the feeling's already there. Now, here's the thing. I will tell you one thing, right? Let's say, for example, I just want to show you what it's not. This is very important. When I say checking with a feeling that's already there, I could check in with a feeling with myself and go, well, what's the feeling that's already there for me? And then it could be like, I would like to lose weight, right? Be very careful, okay? Because again, the question is, do you need to lose weight? Okay, I'm just going to show, or what about, I would like to make more money. Let's stay with weight. That's a good one, right? Do you need to lose weight? Well, yes, because I'm overweight, right? And of course, everyone thinks they're overweight, right? Even if you see skinny people and they're like, Cora probably thinks she's overweight. No, it's okay. I'm just kidding, Cora. Don't speak. You can speak later. Okay, so again, all right, be aware if it's the ego saying, I would like to lose weight, right? Because remember, I said when it's the one, right, it's the giving of yourself. So then you think to yourself, well, how does this relate to this, right? The part of you that needs to lose weight is the ego, okay? You must go deeper, right? If I go to myself, well, what is there to be manifested? Again, what is the decision that's already been made? It's not, well, I would like to lose weight. It's the ego. The ego wants to lose weight because the ego is looking to be more trimmer, more healthier, more energy, find more acceptance, appreciation. And again, you're probably thinking, well, no, I personally would like to lose weight. I would like all those things. I would like more energy. I would like to look prettier. What's wrong with that, Amir? Go deeper. Okay? Accept that your ego, or accept there's a part of you. Let's forget calling it ego. There's a part of you that wants to lose weight. Okay? Where you need to go is underneath that. Go deeper and deeper. And maybe we can talk about that next session, how you go deeper and deeper. But ultimately, you got to go to a place, right, where you appreciate the weight or the experience that you have. And it is about giving or sharing or allowing more of that experience to be expressed or to be had. So you see, here's this part of you. You're like, well, this is you sitting in consciousness, in your conscious, in your mind, and you're going, well, I want to. What's there to be manifested? You come to this point, which is a baseline, and it's like, I would like to lose weight, or I would like to make more money. It's like, no, that's not it. Okay, because you'll find that this baseline has many reasons, and if you be honest with yourself, you'll go, well, I'll look prettier. I'll fit in those jeans or whatever. Go deeper. And if you go deeper, you get to a point where you already have something. That's the place you need to get to, right? And you'll find that you have appreciation for what you have, all right? So it is about appreciating, for example, wow, I get to move in this body. I get, this is my body I'm experiencing. This is my, and you find an appreciation, which is when you have an appreciation, you're experiencing love, which is about giving or sharing that experiences versus I need to change my body versus I need to change my financial situation. You need to go deeper. And we'll talk about that in the future session. I want to stay with this topic at the moment. It's very similar. As you draw the straw, like willingness, it's very similar. It's a similar process to going deeper, but we'll talk about that later. Okay? So just understand, right? When I say go to see what the decision is made, the decision that's made, you feel love and possibilities. It's not like, well, I feel the love and possibilities of losing weight because I need to. That's not it. And this is where people get stuck. And they're trying to manifest, and they go into doing, and they're going into trying to create the change rather than being the change. Okay? What does it mean to be the change? It means you're becoming one with that feeling that doesn't require the change. So this is, this part I've never spoken to you guys about. This is what I was downloading this morning to share with you. And I was downloading it. It was there to be downloaded. So don't make that mistake. So this whole 45 minutes, half an hour, we've only spoken about what's the difference between the ego and the one manifesting. I hope you guys are clear around that. If you have any questions, write it down and come back to it. What I want to pick up is what I was just about to speak about before. 3 levels of manifestation. Again, I can't say 3 levels of manifestation because manifestation is one of the levels. And it's something that we continuously talk about. And I'm going to tell you what these 3 levels are. And I don't know how much of it I'm going to share with you now. I might wait until the next session for us to expand because I actually want to open up the lines and have questions and discussions about what we've just spoken about. It's one of the feedbacks I've been getting from people is they want to talk more on these sessions. They want me to shut up and they want to talk. We'll discuss, So here's the thing. There's 3 levels. The lowest level, okay, or the least powerful level is to create. Okay? So to create is when your attention is on the form. It's not on the energy. And you may use your creative process. You may have creativity, in the create process, right? But the energy or the parameters or the space that you have is always limited to the iceberg or to the drop of the ocean. Okay? You may have creativity, right? Which, comes from the ocean, but what you do with that creativity is always limited to form, your form, the form you see in the world. So in other words, your story has power. Okay? So law of attraction stuff is to create. And that's why they will use the word, you want to create your reality, you want to change your reality. I shouldn't talk like that, but that's what it sounds like. All right? Then you learn the art of manifestation, which is what you guys have been processing. Now, true manifestation is what I just explained to you. Okay? Most people will use that word manifestation and go, I want to create my reality and I don't like what's going on here, or I want to change what's happening and I'm going to manifest it. Or something happened and something wonderful happened and they're like, I manifested. Right? Like, you didn't manifest it, but as you know, the ego wants to take credit for what happens. And it's like, yeah, I manifested that. It's like, oh yeah, which part of it? Tell me about your process. Well, I was thinking about it, and like I could, if I needed to have a session with someone, I could break it down, and they'll get to a point of a dead end. Go, I really didn't do that. It's like when I talk about when people decide what they love to do. It's like, oh, you think you decided? Or when they go, I decided I love this person. I'm marrying him because I love them. I'm like, did you decide that you love them? And they're like, yeah, well, who else decided? Well, then if after a few sessions, a few questions, they realize they never even decided it. They realized that the love for them was already there. It just presented itself just like a dream presents itself. When you fall asleep at night, you're suddenly in the middle of a dream. It had no beginning, had no end. You just noticed you're having this dream. Well, if I came to you in the dream and said, well, do you remember how this dream started? Yeah, I just walked into that door. Yeah, but where were you before that door? I don't know. Just in emptiness? You've seen the movie, what's the movie where they fall asleep? Inception, yeah. All right, so manifestation is what I've just spoken about. The third level, which requires you to really be the one, right, is transformation. Okay, so you got to create, you got to manifest, right, which is all we've been speaking on. Okay, and even manifesting was something I was very cautious in speaking on, because I'm like, the ego's listening to me. You're like, how can I talk to the ego? Like, shh, go away so I can talk to you. And that's why in this group, we've spoken quite a bit about manifestation, right? And again, as I shared it with you, I bet there was parts of you who was like, oh God, I've been doing that. Oh shit. Yeah, that's just the ego. I bet that's been happening for you guys even, right? Some of you are nodding. Transformation is something far more, wow. I think I wrote something down about that, which I would like to tell you what I wrote down. I will tell you this right now because I'm going to get you to ponder on it. I'm not going to reflect more. I'm not going to talk more on it. I'm giving you as much as I can give to you to allow you to ponder. Okay? Because obviously, us working together is not me giving you all the answers. I've just given you, something that you already know, and I've given you different reference points. But this is something I want you to ponder on. All right? For me, to create is to think. All right? It's to think creatively. Manifestation is to feel. It's to draw on a feeling just like you do with a straw. Okay? Like we spoke about before. Transformation is to see. Okay? to transform things, right? Remember, I said manifestation is the iceberg drawing of itself. In other words, floating on the ocean, it's drawing of itself and changing the shape of the iceberg. Transformation is to melt the entire iceberg. It's not just to melt your iceberg, it's to melt the other iceberg you see standing in front of you and reforming it. All right. So the manifestation is to feel. Okay. And what you're doing, you're feeling what's there. You're feeling the decision that's already made. A will to will it out. It's to draw the feeling. It's all about the feeling. And again, we just spent 1 hour now talking about what the feeling, the one feeling and the ego feeling. So we don't need to go into that right now. But to transform is to see the form of what truly is, which is the one, right? The formless. So, like I said to you, it's the melting of the iceberg into the ocean. You must see the water within the iceberg. You can only transform. So most people think transform is about themselves. No, transformation is an external process. Manifestation is an internal process, right? Manifestation is about drawing from what's within into the world that you see outside of you. You call form, duality, reality. Okay? Transformation is different. Transformation is to see what is outside of you, the manifested that you can't change. Remember, you can't change the manifested unless you don't see the iceberg and you see the ocean. Okay? Transformation is about melting the reality back into the ocean. But nobody can do that because everybody sees Amir. Everybody sees Jamie. You look at Niv, you see Niv. That's not Niv. Okay? Do people see things for things rather than for what they truly are? So transformation is to see, not with these eyes. It's to see with a different eye. Okay? And nobody can use that until you get to a point of really, oneness, true oneness. So I want you to ponder on that. Okay? I can put that up on the WhatsApp. That's going to be the homework, is to go, okay, well, create. All right. I mean, first of all, I'm going to open up the lines now and just see if that resonates with you, because obviously if it doesn't, then you're not going to be pondering on it. So let's have a discussion and make sure you actually understand the 3 levels I just spoke to you about: to create, to manifest, and transformation. For me, transformation, just to give you another reference point, when I was a kid, I used to watch this cartoon where, I don't know, they were like robots or something, like Transformers, right? But when they needed to, I forget what the cartoon was called, but when they needed to, there was a point that these Transformers became one. Voltron. If you watch the cartoon Voltron, you used to love it as a kid. And each one of them had a different role. But when it was time to play bigger, they would all connect together. One become the arm, the other one becomes the other arm, the other one becomes the leg, the other one, and one becomes the head. Okay, I think there was 5 or 6 of them, right? And then they become one, right? That's transformation, all right? But you can't see the form. You must be able to see the formless within the form, which is a complete different art, okay? And it's an external process. It's not an internal process. It's an external. You're melting the icebergs rather than drawing as the iceberg from within the ocean. Okay? But let's not confuse or distract ourselves with transformation yet. I just want you to ponder on it. I just want you to ponder on those 3 levels I just talked about: create, to manifest, and to transform. I've given you quite a lot. Normally I'll just say these are the 3 levels, go and think about it. I've given you quite a lot because I don't want you to waste your time and go and ponder on bullshit. Like, I'm just giving you something, right? What is it to create? But I want you to go and take that into your life and use your own reference points. I just gave you Voltron. You know, I talked about the iceberg drawing like a straw from within, like in manifestation. What's manifestation for you? What is it to create? Find reference points in your own life when you have been creating. Find reference points when you notice an experience of manifestation. And yeah, I don't think you'll have many of transformation, that's for sure. But yeah, but I'm not even going to focus too much on transformation. I'm just going to give you as much reference points, and maybe we'll talk more about that later on. But it's the main thing that you'll have is the manifestation. I want you to ponder on that. I want you to find, you know, at least 10 examples of when you manifested something out of ego. Even if it manifested, Cora, even if it manifested, I want you to tell me how it felt, because you'll get to a point where you felt like you needed it. You get to a point where you think like you couldn't live without it. Because if you manifest from need, you will get the experience of feeling like you need it, even if it manifests. Most of the time it doesn't manifest because all you're doing is creating the experience of needing it. So you create the experience of needing to lose weight. And, you know, it's a temporary change. So then you continue to lose weight or put on weight or, you know, whatever the thing may be. But it's always like the carrot in front of you, you know, it's like, I need to get this. So I want you to find 10 points of when you have manifested out of need, all right, or out of receiving, right, which is another word we just use. And I want you to find 5 points, just 5, where you have felt the one or the feeling. And just, again, maybe you didn't let it all the way out. Maybe you let it out to this point. Maybe it was forming and then you put power in it and lost it. Putting power in it means you see the form rather than staying with the feeling. That's it. You know, you can see why reclaiming power and putting power into things and reclaiming power was the first month. You know, so those different stages I just spoke to you about, I want you to find five points, write it down. Right? I remember this happened, and then tell me describe what it was, and then tell me how you felt. Describe what it was, tell me how you felt. So they're the five points. So 10 points, 10 different points of when you did something because you needed to, you're looking to receive it, so you know it's ego stuff. And 5 where you found that you had something to give. It was to share. It was, you know, that whole process. All right, so at this point, what I'd like to do, I'm going to continue this conversation in our session 2. So yeah, go and ponder on that and see what you guys come back with about, you know, creation, creativity, whatever you want to call it, when you say, I want to create something. And, you know, does that have, you know, need or love around it? Like I'm just dropping in things there, you know. I mean, we know it's limited, right? But why is it limited? Or is it limited? Maybe I just said that. I don't know. I want you to ponder on that. Manifestation, you have enough juice. There's so much there. Like I just spoke to you about my process of manifestation. You know, that's what it is for me. Go and ponder on that and come back with stuff. But I think the most important thing in relation to manifestation that was there to talk about was when it's ego manifesting or intending to manifest, and when it's the one. I think that was the most important thing for me to share right now, because I know the moment you say manifestation, the ego's ears prick up and go, oh yeah, this is what I'm here for. How do I fucking change this shit? How do I have more power? Yeah.